think when a company's going from startup to scale up and going through the transition to becoming a mainstream brand, creative capital obviously plays a huge role, but I think the way you have to do it is very different in terms of how a big brand would normally go about creative assets and creating creative work. So in the startup land, it's very much a lot more is done in-house. And so for me, I've been focusing a lot on how I provide the right creative vision and creative North Star for people to work within. I think it's really important. We have to be able to punch above our weight. So we have to have everything singing from the same song sheet. And so I think providing that North Star, that vision for where we're taking the brand, the growth that we're on, and providing and empowering teams with the right tools, the right vision, the right framework, the right guidelines, the right assets, the right resources, being able to shoot our own content, doing everything within the constraints of a startup is paramount. But I think also inspiring people, because I think when you're a startup, it's quite easy to think small and keep doing what we've always been doing. But if we're going to make that leap to the next level, which is to become a mass mainstream player, we have to start thinking like a big brand, but doing so with small brand budgets and resources, which is actually, from a creative perspective, I thought would be harder than I'm finding it. I think actually it's quite freeing, and I think a lot of good creative work can come from constraints, and you have to have something to push against. And so in a startup, there's plenty of challenges to push against, which means that you have to be really focused on what you want to deliver and how you're going to deliver it. I think creativity is definitely a mindset rather than a KPI or anything we can sort of tick to say, yes, we were creative, done. So I think it's very much something you have to instill behaviorally in terms of the conversations we're having, how we challenge people, the strategic direction for the business, making sure that creativity and being able to think different or perform differently to the competitive set and to other brands has to be instilled in how we lead the organization and how we guide teams. In terms of tools and processes, I think there's a lot to be said of the little things, of creating safe spaces and forums for people to share work from other brands or things that they love as a consumer, and just bring things from the outside inside that just sparks those ideas and that fosters that environment for creativity. I've also set up things like creative review sessions where we just bring creative in with all the creative departments or heads of creative in the team, and we bounce things across. So we pull the resources that we do have and make sure we're pulling in everybody's expertise to help us develop the best creative. But I think also setting those real sort of big, hairy, ambitious goals around, yes, we have KPIs and yes, we have targets to hit, but I also want to just win a creative award or something it's not gonna sit on the P&L. It's nothing sort of financial, but I want people to aspire in my team to achieve really good creative work, even though the measure of that is slightly more subjective. There are still things we can do that lift ourselves out of the everyday. I think the main I'll take out from today is I think there's a few points. So firstly, measurement. So being able to at least provide, it doesn't have to be here and now measurement, but at least being able to use other brands or case studies or other stimulus to be able to prove the results and measurability of investing in brand and creativity. I think stakeholder management and bringing people on the journey is paramount. There are departments who classically see themselves as not being creative. It's not true, but that's how they perceive themselves. And so bringing people in on that journey, making people feel part of the process, taking inputs in, is all part of a creative process. And the more stimulus and inputs you have, the better the creative work at the output. And if people are bought into it, it will fly far better than if you're really, pushing water up a hill and trying to convince people of something they're not bought into or don't believe in. And then I think the other point is creative stimulus and fostering that environment where it's okay to have not performed optimum at our best if we take those learnings forward next time, or it's rewarded if we're pulling in outside-in resources and other examples or case studies of things that we like. So it becomes a very collaborative and fluid mindset for the team, and creativity sort of comes out of that mix and that hot pot of input and stimulus.